Hello, friends, how are you doing? My name is Sandeep Sinha, and I'm going to read a simple poem called Autobiography of a War. This poem was read by me at Whispers of Soul, which was a poetry event organized at India International Center on 10th of November 2025. So, as you see, having a war has become a trend these days. If a nation is not happy or satisfied, or if the demands are not met by its neighboring nation, so then what happens? One country is waging a war against its enemy nation. Example, Russia and Ukraine. Example, Israel and Iran. Example, Israel and Palestine and Lebanon. So there is no end to the new trend which is emerging. It is rather expanding, the war trend. Can we somehow stop it? God has not created us to fight, to have battles, to throw missiles and and to terrorize other nations in the name of nuclear war, hydrogen bomb, atom bomb. This is going to be disastrous. We civilians are going to be the most affected. Our political leaders will and are hiding in bunkers and numerous other places which are unknown to the common folks. So, I have, through this poem, conveyed to my fellow human beings what are the causes of war. Why does a human being even think of having a war? Who causes war? What is the major factor that incites one human being, mainly kings in the past, or a political leader, to wage a war against its neighboring country? And is there a way that we can avert wars in the future? So let's see. Very simple poem, and everything is answered in 6 stanzas. So it's called Autobiography of a War. Hello, I am a deadly, bloodthirsty war. I arise when hatred crosses every bar. To warn the consequences of my action, I trust a poet for my honest expression. I am created in the hazardous minds of rulers. Indulging in homicide, they are brutal killers. Such megalomaniacs mostly dropped out of school and adopted violence, even enforcing military rule. So, these kings in the past, or even political leaders, example Hitler, who started this World War II, and other and dictators, they had strange mind. It was not a peaceful mind. They were megalomaniacs, and they had dropped out of school. Actually, they could not complete the school because they were not focused at studies. They were not into this academics. They just wanted violence. So, as I recall mass killings by many a dictator, I cannot forget Idi Amin, Gaddafi, Suharto, and Hitler. With no fixed term, the butchers turned democracy through repression and pillage into lethal autocracy. So, friends, you see, these butchers or dictators, what was their objective? To transform existing democracy structure into an autocratic structure. Whether it was through threats, terrorism, or military rule, they used it, rather abused it. And these guys, these political leaders, if you see several countries like North Korea, China, Romania, Uganda, so They had no fixed term. They ruled for 20, 30, 40 years even. As if, they were born to terrorize civilians, the peaceful people, through the use of threat. They were able to just enslave the human minds and the bodies of innocent civilians all over the world. So, centuries ago, kings exploited me means war, to annex territories. Yeah, you agree? Kings exploited me to annex territories. Then political leaders abused me through missionaries. Cunning despots tried twice to annihilate humanity. Remember, who were the despots? They were the dictators. During the World War II, Hitler and Idi Amin, Gaddafi. So these people, they had tried twice to annihilate humanity. Twice because we had World War I and World War II, which was started actually from European countries. And then because at that time, when World War I started 14 to 18, and then 39 to 45, World War II. So those dictatorial leaders during those World War I and II from Europe, they had actually enslaved people in Africa and Asia. As you know, it was mainly the Britishers and the French and the Portuguese and the Dutch people who had colonized entire earth. And so they had used the slaves of these underdeveloped or developing countries to annex and expand their territories. But what was their objective of these European countries? They just wanted to loot the wealth of developing and developed countries through force, of course, and bring it to their native countries in Europe. So, as cunning despots tried twice to annihilate humanity, please tell me, my friends, isn't the lust for power a symptom of psychotic insanity? Now, I means war, now I see the forces of fascism erupting again, isn't it? Engulfing children and elderly for monetary gain. As you see the tariff system, the forced tariff system. Missiles continue to contaminate air, soil and sea. Holocaust in forests, why do not our eyes see? See, every day we are talking of air pollution, water pollution, soil contamination. But how about during the war? Our trees are devastated, forests are devastated. The birds, the beautiful birds, which have nests on the trees, and the animals in the forests, they are all devastated by the missiles, by fire, forest fire, and by the use of guns. So, environment is totally devastated when missiles and guns, they are fired during war. So, why do not we do anything? Why do not various NGOs and the United Nations do anything? Why are they mere spectators? So, I am tired of seeing suffering and casualties. Finally, war makes an honest confession. I'm tired of seeing suffering and casualties. Oh God, when will my tragic existence cease? Not until, now there is a message, a concluding message, very important. This is the gist of the poem. Not until leaders possess university education. As I said, the brutal killers, they were school dropouts. They did not pass even grade 6 at school, and then they joined the military training. and then they forced military rule in their countries and enslaved the neighboring nations. So, what is most important to understand is, unless the leaders possess university education, because having a university degree somehow constrains or rather restrains the mind to take responsibility and not to indulge in violence. Second thing is, and retire by 80 years of age, because human beings have a shelf life, and most of the human beings on planet earth, they are able to live healthily by 70 years, energetically by 70 years, but on reaching 80 years, oh god, people have arthritis and eye problem, hearing problem, and walking problem, gastric problem, and cancer, and so many diseases. So when everybody retires by the age of 60 or 65 years across the world, why do not our political leaders also retire by 80 years? It's very important, because beyond 80 years, mind is under the control of emotions. There is no rationality in decision making, which is so important. So our leaders must retire by 80 years in every country of planet earth. Another thing, with two fixed terms, the leaders should not be having more than two fixed terms in any country, because as we have seen in the past, countries in North Korea, in China, in Romania, in Russia, which was at that time USSR, they ruled for 30, 40 years, and it becomes a monarchy, it's not democracy. So currently in the USA, two fixed terms are there for the president. President Obama was there for two terms, 8 years. President Bush for 2 terms, 8 years. President Clinton for 2 terms, 8 years. So, and there should not be any election for these guys beyond 2 terms. Even if they may be genius, but as there's a popular saying, child is the father of man, and the world is moving forward. As we see, technology is advancing so fast. We have evolved from the time of telegraph, then to telephones, and then from postal snail mail to now we have electronic mail, and now we have smartphones and artificial intelligence. So had our political leaders from the past ruled for 40 years, such technology would not have been possible. That's why perhaps in America, where they have 2 fixed terms, technology is evolving, and innovators are born and given more decision making in policies, and they have new ideas because the younger generation is able to get a chance to innovate. So friends, thank you for listening to my poem, and I hope my fellow brothers and sisters and the younger generation will take care of the environment and solve the issues peacefully, not violence. We are human beings. God has created us not for waging wars. Rather, we are here to live happily, peacefully. Okay, thank you. Have a good day. God bless me and God bless you all. Bye bye.